Welcome to Harmony Talk, a podcast about dreamers and doers. People from every walk of life who have fulfilled a dream. They share their career paths, their insights, and what still drives their passion. This podcast is brought to you by A.M. Skyer, a third-generation family insurance business started in 1920. I'm your host, Lisa Champeau. Today's guests are Lucas Labrador and Louis De Felice, two ballet dancers who founded a clothing company called Barre Trash. This online enterprise went viral shortly after opening in 2023, taking the two owners by surprise, but they rose to the occasion and today have a successful business seeking to compete with some of the top-notch dancewear companies in the world, such as Capezio, Danskin, and Block. Their Instagram account has 336,000 followers at last count, and it's growing. Welcome, Lucas and Louis, to Harmony Talk. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Lucas, you're from Argentina, and Louis, you hail from South Carolina here in the United States. You're talking to us from Paris, France. You met on a tour of Swan Lake in Berlin and immediately recognized that you had a similar dream to start a clothing business. Now, how does that happen, that you both have that same dream? Tell us about the start of your company.
That is correct, Lisa. We were touring France and Switzerland 2 years ago. And when you're touring in the bus, you spend a lot of time just traveling from one place to the other. And we are very similar people, I would say, because we like to talk about business and reading and how to become better at things. And we had this idea where we will somehow start a clothing brand to bring the ballet world together. And I had this idea to do it through my personal brand. And then Louis was like, why don't we do it together?
And Lucas and I found that once we started working together, the project grew a lot more from being like, what if we sell t-shirts that have, for example, a shared sense of humor that would resonate with other ballet dancers, which is kind of how we started. But we found that with just a bit more effort and frankly, a lot more fun, we could go a lot deeper into designs for a lot of things, pants, overalls, hoodies, leg warmers. So what started as a small idea and something that was an interest that we shared quickly became a lot more involved and quickly started to take a lot more time.
Well, you definitely have a great sense of humor. In fact, I think on your website it says, please help us pay for physical therapy by buying our clothes, which ballet dancers often need. But starting a clothing company is a tall order. I mean, you have to manufacture, you have to design, you have to get the materials. How did you pull all that together?
Well, we didn't know how hard all of that stuff would be. Really, the list of things, of sort of obvious early mistakes that we made is very long and endearing, I think, if a little embarrassing. But one of the funny things about making clothes is just because there's so many people in the world and everybody wears clothes, there's a lot of expertise already out there. And so we weren't inventing a brand new product, for example, from the ground up. You know, we weren't like creating the electric car or anything like that. So we have relied a lot on really, really high quality factories that have already an expertise in dancewear. So we like to work with people who know our final customer. That's a big deal for us. We also, have brought our sketches and ideas to graphic designers who are better at drawing than we are. And we've learned a lot too, just in ourselves by just trial and error. Shipping is complicated. Lucas and I have, I think at this point, learned every single feature of Canva, which is like the graphic design software. So it's a lot of learning by trial and error. And also I think, and this is my attitude with ballet, it might be Lucas's as well, which is that it's better not to know how hard something is and better to be a little ignorant of your shortcomings and just have a lot of optimism. Because if you're too aware of how hard it is to, like it's even in ballet, like if you're too aware of how difficult the technique is and how hard the career is going to be, you'll never try. You'll just quit. So it's better to stay blissfully ignorant of that stuff.
Good advice. Let's talk for a second about investment and sales. I mean, you had to pull some money together to start this company. How did you do that?
Well, we had some savings from our careers as dancers, which you could guess was not much at all, because dancers, and this is something we talk a lot within the brand, we think that we, and most dancers around the world, we don't get paid as much or as much as we deserve, right? For the amount of work we do. So we put in some money, which for me, for example, meant everything I had a year ago. And it was scary because we didn't know if this was going to work out or not. And something we do very well is to split who does better things. For example, Luis is in charge of website and talking to manufacturers and a lot of like the writing because he went to Yale. He likes to remind me that quite often.
That makes him a better writer. Okay.
Correct. And I do a lot of social media. I've been doing social media for over 10 years. I own a couple of pages and I have helped a lot of people grow their accounts. So I had that kind of, I don't want to say like master, but I was a little bit better at the beginning. So we kind of set up that since the beginning. As of right now, I take care more of social media and he does a lot of other boring stuff that it's harder for me. But I think being humble about who is better at what is what made the brand grow so fast.
Yeah, we split the finances and we split the obligations in the same way. So we went into this really, once we figured out the idea and had a basic sense of what we were planning to do, everything just went 50-50 from there.
And how have sales been?
Great. So we're 14 months old. And in our first full year, like our first full calendar year, we were into the six figures.
Have you made back your investment money already?
Well, yeah, we've made it back, but then we've put it all back in and more. So making a profit is like, we could say we're profitable, I suppose, but the fun is in the reinvestment. So, we sell one thing, we take the money from that and we buy two more, we sell two, we take the money from that, we make two new designs, and then we have four things. And so everything that we make goes back into the pot, basically. And then plus some. We've still, over the course of the first year, we're continuing to use what extra money that we made dancing or doing whatever to feed Barre Trash as much as we could to keep it growing.
Did you feel that the ballet world did not have the clothes that you were looking for? Is that one of the reasons you went into it? I mean, how do you differentiate yourself, I guess?
We believe that there are similar clothes. However, our branding, we believe that no other brand out there has the branding and the vision and the communication with actual dancers that we have. We do a lot of polls within our close friends on Instagram, for example, which are the people that have bought from us in the past or that have supported us some way or the other. And we listen to them carefully. For example, this past weekend, we were here in Paris. The first one was to communicate with Paris opera dancers. We got a bunch of them, came, we did a photo shoot, video content creation. It was great. They were so happy. Content is looking fantastic. And the other thing we did, which was my idea, I have to say, was to see how many Barre Trash fans were out there here in Paris. So apparently a lot. We didn't know this. And we did our first meetup. 20 people came. We had one girl come from Scotland just to meet with us over here. We did a whole photo shoot in front of the Eiffel Tower. We were walking around the streets. We gave away products, gift cards and stuff. And it was fantastic. And we haven't seen anything similar with other brands out there.
One of the things that we take pride in is that both of the owners, speaking of the two of us, take ballet class 5 or 6 days a week, and we're dancing both full-time professionally. So there's really not another dancewear company of that offers as much as we have that's fully, owned and operated by people who are dancing professionally. And that being said, talking about comparing with what else is out there, there's of course a lot of dancewear brands, but as we've designed more clothing, we've found a really nice sweet spot of quality and price where the stuff that we're offering is of such a high quality. And if you would get that from another brand, you would have to spend a lot more. And I think we have been much more respectful with our markup because we know that a lot of dancers are students, they're kids spending their own money, allowance money. And a lot of dancers are professionals who aren't making a ton of money. So we could mark up our products more than we do based on the quality that we have and try to make them competitive with this sort of more luxury dance brands. But we just have a respect for our customer that I think goes beyond trying to extract every last dollar out of the margin for our products too. So we try to be just decent people about that.
Now, right now, the products are found only online?
Not quite. We're in 5 stores in the US.
Oh, wonderful. Where?
New York, Seattle, Boston, and South Carolina, and I'm missing one. Texas.
I mean, are you in Macy's anchor stores?
No, so dancers tend to go to dance-specific stores where they can be, for example, fitted by a professional point shoe fitter during the visit, something like that. So there's a lot of technical knowledge that goes into buying dance clothes, and so you tend to purchase them in a boutique. There are virtually no chains either in the US. So nearly every boutique is its only location, or at most 2 or 3 locations in a metro area. They're all independently owned, broadly speaking. And actually next weekend, we'll be at a trade show in Atlanta where stores from around the country come and vendors present to them. And so we expect to be in as many as 50 stores in 2020. What year is it now? 5. Whereas we were only in 5 in our first year because we were sort of piloting the program and also dealing with supply chain stuff. You know, if you're in 50 stores, you have to have enough inventory to keep 50 stores in stock. So we're still learning about managing that logistically.
That's a lot of footwork, so to speak. I mean, traveling, and in addition to the careers that you have. Lucas, you are dancing full time, are you not?
I am full time. Yeah, I have a contract with the Sodre, Ballet de Sodre in Uruguay, and my season goes 11 months long. So it's February till December. So I've been dancing quite a lot, luckily.
So how do you fit in all this trade shows and talking to boutiques?
Well, it is hard. It is not easy. We have found a very good way to manage time. So if my class is at 9, I will wake up at 6, throw some work in before, an hour, 2 hours, however I can, and then I will work after. My day goes until 4:30 p.m., and then I will stay about an hour and a half at the company doing some extra stuff. And then from 7, sometimes until 10, sometimes until midnight, it will be Barre Trash. It's a lot of work. We're trying to push very, very hard, especially the first 2 or 3 years, because we're discovering new things. We're networking a lot. A lot of people have reached out to us, and it's adding more and more and more. So one of the conversations we had this past weekend is who is going to be our next hire, because we do need, as we grow, because we grew quite quickly in 14 months. So we're looking into our first hire, even though we had hired a couple of people freelancing here and there to help us out through this year and some. So yeah, it is hard. It is not easy.
No, that makes perfect sense. Sure. And are you dancing in Uruguay? So you have to travel?
I do travel a lot. I am dancing full time in Uruguay. We try to stay connected as much as possible, as much as every day, I believe. Mm-hmm. We do Zoom meetings. I am exploring now this new thing with virtual reality where we can both have these and be in the same room. We're trying to stay connected as much as possible, as much as he hates it. I try to be the one that pushes all these brand new things to improve our communication, our skills within the brand and for our personal projects and other things. But it is hard. It is hard.
He may grow to like it. You may grow to like it, right, Louis? Tell us about the name for a second. Obviously, Barre is from the ballet bar, Barre. Trash. You definitely have a sense of humor. How'd you come up with that?
So I did a bunch of brainstorming when we were trying to come up with the name. I sat at the kitchen table and was just free associating pairs of words that are related to dance. So I had like ribbon shoes, ribbon stage, wing floor, whatever, wing mirror, just different pairs.
Which I have to say, for someone that went to Yale, those were pretty bad names.
Pretty bad names.
Yeah.
And so the list was long, and really only one stood out to me, which was Trash Bar, which had a good ring to it. And I told Lucas, I think this sounds great. And he said, what if we swap it? And I'm honestly furious that I didn't just wait 5 more minutes before bringing the idea to him, because I believe I might have thought of swapping it. But as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, Barre Trash. That's way better than Trash Bar.
Yeah, why didn't I think of that? It is a great name.
And Lucas also came up with the design of the actual logo itself. And it refers in a few ways to like trash. You know, we have trash bag pants. That's a common type of pant, warm-up pant that dancers wear. But it's also something the teachers say when you're warming up, you do the first 10 minutes or so of class, you're wearing warm-ups. And then the teacher wants you to take it all off. And they'll say, take off your trash or take off your junk. And it means get rid of all that stuff. So you're just in your leotard and your tights, and I can see your legs and your muscles and everything without being covered up. And then for me, finally, it refers also a little bit to the people, like the way you would say club rat or gym rat or Euro trash. Like it kind of, to me, sounds like a class of people. And so if you can kind of ironically take on the identity of like, yeah, we're bar trash. Like, you know, we're spending all the time at the bar, the BARRE, that is. I get a little bit of humor out of that. So I would say it's universally been liked. It's probably one of the easier and more successful decisions we made has been the name. It goes well. It stays in your head.
Well, what would be one of the more difficult decisions you've had to make?
Oh, that's a good question.
There are many. One of them has been we have this philosophy at the beginning, at least for the first 10 months or so, which we wanted to master pretty much all things across before growing. So we wanted to stay small before actually growing because we didn't want to have, I don't know, too many orders and just send them late or send them wrong or things like that. So for the first 10 months, we did a lot of research, which was hard because we weren't making that much money, but we wanted to master every single thing because we do a lot of social media. We do a lot of brainstorming ideas for new products. We're constantly looking for new dancers, influencers, ambassadors, and it's a lot. But I'm glad we did it like that because now we are way better than 14 months ago. Yeah, it has been great.
I think like holding back is difficult. Even now, we have a lot of new products and we're trying to be methodical about how we release them to people because people have limited spans of attention and they only have so much money at one given time. And we're always learning too. So taking things, being slower and more conscientious and careful about things is hard when you have a lot of ideas and a lot of motivation.
Well, speaking of ideas and motivation, now, Louis, yes, you went to Yale. You studied with the Kirov Ballet, is that correct, in Russia?
Yes, the school in Washington, D.C., which is the sister school of the Russian one.
So you have a lot of great training and you have a very diverse background. You have a TikTok account called Barre Felice, which is really funny, actually. And some of the posts you play two people, you know, yourself and your alter ego or something. And I mean, you have one where I think you talk about why don't we tattoo eyeliner on baby girls? Just get it done with now. So I just thought that was hysterical.
Thank you.
But you announced your retirement from ballet and you've taken up a career singing. Is that correct? And why did you do that?
Yeah, that's mostly correct. I left ballet and came back to it. So I was away for quite the hiatus. I went to Yale after deferring my matriculation there. And that was when I was dancing semi-professionally. So I would go to Yale at age 20. I graduate, study English. I graduate and COVID hits. And during my time in college, I wrote and recorded and put out 4 albums of my music, of songwriting. And I had learned how to record, you know, in recording studios by doing that process. I interned at a studio called Electric Lady in New York. I interned for like Frank Ocean and Mumford & Sons and Lady Gaga and people like that. And I would like tune their guitars and bring them water and turn things on and off, stuff like that. And then from there, I was doing more sound editing and production for film and TV. All of this sort of in the first couple of years of COVID. After a couple of years of that, frankly, it was all going well and I was good at it and I liked it. But I went and just took a ballet class, just one. I just saw it pretty clearly that my body could still do it and that I had more to give. I think on my 3rd ballet class, the teacher told me, if you're even thinking about doing this again, you need to drop everything and start training now because you're 24, 25, whatever I was, and it's this is it. Physically speaking, you're not going to be able to re-enter unless you do it now. So I dropped everything. I spent, 8 months or something just alone dedicated to retraining myself in ballet. And I've been working professionally again for the last 2.5 years, 3 years. I'm starting a new contract in London in February. So I'm, I guess, sort of fully back to being a professional ballet dancer, but you never get there. You're never good enough. So I don't really feel like I'm there with a capital T, so to speak. I'm a professional and dancing every day.
I'm not a professional in this arena, but I've certainly seen some of the pictures of both of you dancing, and you look absolutely beautiful, absolutely wonderful. So do you see your company, Barre Trash, as appealing to other than dancers? I mean, would you like to sell to others, non-dancers? And
Yes, absolutely. Since social media is our main channel to communicate with people, we receive, hundreds of DMs weekly from people that do other things like jazz, like contemporary, from salsa, ballet moms, yoga, Pilates. So we do see in the future expanding our products into different other niches.
But within the dance world?
We have big plans. We have big plans for Barre Trash. I think first sticking to the ballet world, then moving into the dance world, and then we'll see from there. But yes.
It would be great to see a regular person wearing our stuff because it is great athletic wear. It's great move wear. It looks cool. We have great sort of template, shapes to the stuff that we design. And I think it takes a lot of luck and a lot of work too. But people love tennis gear, for example. They like the brand Wilson, which is for tennis, but you see lots of people wearing it out and about. Or Fila is for soccer. So, being able to make the jump from ballet wear to streetwear for people who like the aesthetic but aren't dancers themselves would be awesome. But I think we both see that as being a great dream, but a little ways down the road, because right now we're pretty focused on serving, our people who are, of course, dancers.
And Lucas, you're a big soccer fan, aren't you?
I am. I have to be. I am from Argentina. So yes,
True. I mean, Lionel Messi, right? Isn't he one of your heroes?
best player in the world. It does not matter what people say.
Maybe you could get him to wear an oversized hoodie or something,
We will love that.
Ask him, Lucas.
We will send him one. He might wear it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's talk just a little more fully about your plans. Your plans are to expand the company, to hire somebody. Do you have any other plans?
We talk a lot about just the product design in general, and we've been talking about it in a way recently, which I'm sure this isn't a new idea, but it's what we've come across on our own, which is you can expand, horizontally outwards into new products. So you can have pants, shorts, shirts, hoodies, hats, shoes, whatever. And then you can expand down. You can drill into a product. So within your leg warmer, you can have loose and tight. You can have new colors. You can have short and long. You can expand sizes. So that would be within just a single product. So we try to balance, in terms of product development, we try to have a good balance between bringing in new products and developing existing ones. And then getting into brick and mortar stores is a big plan for 2025. So the trade show next weekend is really big for us. We've been thinking about it and talking about it for months, and all the work is done. Now we just have to go and present to the stores. And so that's a big one. I think being in brick and mortar is essential because some people just want to touch the clothes first and try them on. And that's how you're going to reach, especially dancers who, as a group, generally go to physical stores still, maybe more than other people, because the clothes are so technical and so personal.
You have a great website, barretrash.com. I did spin the wheel today, by the way. I get 10% off. I just want you to know that. Yes.
Lisa, congratulations.
Nice.
What kind of advice would you give somebody who wanted to do what you're doing? Don't do it? No. No, I think it sounds like you love what you're doing, actually.
We absolutely love what we do. It is so rewarding, even though sometimes we get to sleep 4 or 5 hours. It is so, so rewarding. My advice will be seek for advice to people that have done something similar, because that will save you a lot of time. And we don't mind talking to people, because a lot of people have talked to us and taught us a lot of what we know now.
Did you seek out mentors?
We do. I was personally mentored by a millionaire, I want to say, in the United States. And that changed my life. I didn't know at the time that I was being mentored. But now looking back years ago, I danced with the Atlanta Ballet for 5 years. I graduated from Rock School. And a lot of those big institutions have a lot of sponsors. And as a dancer, you get to talk to them. So I did talk to them a lot, and I learned from them a lot. And even though they were not part of this business necessarily, they gave me advice that I can use today for things that we do for Barre Trash. So my advice will be this: be a dancer, but also seek for something else that fulfill you, and go all the way. If you want to do it, you have to do it all the way. You cannot go just a little bit, 20 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You got to go all the way. You got to dream about it. You got to get things done. You got to write them down, seek for help, do it with a friend. It's something that we were so lucky to have, because we trust each other with our lives and we spend a lot of time together. And even though sometimes we fight and sometimes we have different opinions, we do know that it's all for the best. So that would be my advice.
How about you, Louis?
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I think dancers are natural born, I don't know what the word for this would be, but they are very accustomed to receiving criticism and taking criticism, because that's a huge part of dance training. And they're very disciplined. Dancers, like, the beginning of every professional dancer's day is a ballet class. It's a 1.5 hour ballet class. It follows the same structure everywhere in the world. I could fly to Tokyo, Japan tomorrow, or South Africa, and I could go to any professional ballet company. And for the first hour and a half, I could participate equal to everybody else in the company. I wouldn't need any prior knowledge. I would need to be a ballet dancer, but I wouldn't need to know anything local to them or anything personal to that company. So just to give the example, if a company were to take away that 1.5 hour ballet class from the dancers and say, hey, you have an 1.5 hour free every morning now, that 1.5 hour is yours. You know what they would do? They would come to class. They would do the 1.5 hour on their own. They would use a YouTube teacher on YouTube, or they would give each other the class. You can't stop them from working. They want to perform more. They want more jobs. They want to understudy more. They want to be in class. they want more corrections and more criticism. So if you can take that attitude that you have in ballet and then in your new adventure, because of course there's a pretty finite amount of time that you can be a pro dancer, you just have to have the same thing. You got to seek out experts and take constructive criticism and be dogged and show up every day and do the work every day the same way you do to be successful in ballet.
That's really wonderful advice. And I want to thank you both for being with us so much. One of the big questions that we ask for career paths, and you've certainly answered a lot of them though, but you talked about some of the difficult decisions. But what do you think you've really learned the most since you started this?
There's a great question. One of the things that pops up to my mind right now is you find happiness in solving problems. And we have solved a lot of problems within a year.
I would also say I've learned, there's a thing going around on Twitter now, a phrase, you can just do things. I've seen people tweeting that or putting it in Instagram posts and stuff. You really can just do things. Like today, Lucas and I were just hanging out in Paris. We had burgers last night with some dancers from the Paris Opera, which for me was very cool. I never met anybody from the Paris Opera before. And after this interview gets done, we're going to walk to the Eiffel Tower and take a picture in front of it at nighttime. And no one told us we had to come to Paris. No one told us we had to do any of this stuff. You just can put together an idea. And if you can swing it financially and you've got, friends who are up for an adventure with you, you can just do things. Like you can just design hoodies and sell them to people.
I agree with that. However, it sounds very easy. It was not. Because I am from a small town in Argentina, and being here today, it was very hard. It was very, very hard. I had no money growing up, and getting to this point right now, it is a huge accomplishment, and I'm super proud. And when I meet people from here now, they look at me and traveling the world and like being, the co-founder of Barre Trash, and I am involved in a lot of other projects. And they think that I have always been like this, or it has been easy, and it has not. So that's another, I think, piece of advice that, do not judge people by the look right now, because there is a lot of work for them to be there right now.
Well, I bet your parents are proud of you.
Yes, my mom is very proud of me.
How about you, Louis?
Yeah, my parents, honestly, it's ironic you asked that because they came to Paris over the weekend and got to see us at work. I brought my mom to our photo shoot, and she sat on a couch in the corner by the radiator and watched, and we did a 4-hour photo shoot with some beautiful dancers from the Paris Opera Ballet, and she got to see me in my element. And later my dad came to our fan meetup that Lucas organized at the Eiffel Tower. So it was very nice that they got to see me in action. That was very sweet, very moving for me that they got to be participating this weekend.
That's wonderful. I wish you both the best of luck with your company. I enjoyed visiting the website, and I will get my 10% off on something. Not sure what yet. Probably not leg warmers, but
Winter.
But thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa, thank you so much for having us. This has been great. It's a pleasure to be here.
This podcast has been brought to you by AM Skyer, a third-generation family insurance business started in 1920. I'm your host, Lisa Champeau. Talk to you next time. And don't forget to visit barretrash.com.